You may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler. This is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
And we are back at episode 67.
Episode 67. So, I just finished a tournament over at the 101 in Katy.
Right, it was that freeze out, right? That was the tournament I've been trying to get to, but you actually got there before me. Like, you were able to make the tournament before me.
Yeah, I've been kind of getting that tournament bug for a little bit. And so I look at Poker Atlas and I check and see what's kind of got the bigger guarantees. And it was a 2,000 guaranteed, which is not that bad for a nightly tournament. And on top of that, it was a freeze out, which really sold it when you got one of the bigger guarantees and it's a freeze out.
People just take the freeze out so much more serious than obviously the free rolls and the ones where you can just rebuy.
Well, like I say, I like the freeze out for many reasons. I think it kind of lessens the variance. And like someone was arguing this, I'm like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, well, you're going to win more often because it's just fewer entries.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where you're going to go with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, if everybody's rebuying, I mean, it's fine. I mean, in the long run, it can still be profitable. But that being said, if the freeze out where they can't, you're going to win way more often.
Right, because if someone's rebuying 3 and 4 times, it's like you have to eliminate a different player 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it's just a bigger field. Yeah. So there's that, and what was the other thing? I like the transparency of the freeze outs a lot. Like versus, I mean, and I'm not saying any of the poker rooms are doing anything wrong. I'm just saying when you're doing a lot of add-ons, if it's a kind of a big tournament, you can't keep track of it that well. And I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying I like a lot of transparency, and the freeze out seems to be the most transparent.
No, absolutely. And, I mean, again, like you said, not saying anyone, but they still do cost money to run these tournaments. So you still, I mean, there is a rake in these tournaments, and, I mean, I don't know how much it is or isn't, but...
Well, it says on Poker Atlas for all of them.
No, I guess I do know that. I just haven't done enough research.
Yeah.
I guess the information is out there.
Yeah, the information is completely out there. So on the Poker Atlas, it'll have the entry fee. It'll have everything. And here's okay, and I'm going to go devil's advocate. There are things I like about the add-on tournaments, and they do tend to lessen the rake. Because all of the money from an add-on is supposed to go right into the prize pool. So let's say you have let's just use the amount for freeze outs. You have a $120 entry. $100 of it's going into the prize pool. Then the $20 going to them to help run the tournament. That's completely fine. It takes money to run those tournaments. Well, let's say you have, 20 people. That's $2,000 into right into the prize pool. Well, if you have an add-on, let's say it's $100, but then the add-on is basically like $50, but you get a ton of chips, and everybody does it. Well, now that $20 fee is still only a $20 fee, but it's basically $20 out of $170, lessening the rake. So there are good things. I'm not saying I will play add-ons, I'll play non-freeze outs. So there are goods and bads, but I do like the transparency of the freeze outs.
If anything, you're selling me on playing the add-ons. I mean, because I'm not a tournament player. I didn't even know that the add-ons 100% are supposed to go to the prize pool. I just had no idea. I thought it was for some reason, I was just thinking it was a percent rake because you always talk about a percent. So I always assumed that percent was going out of the add-on. In my head, I guess, like you said, I've never looked. I'm not really much of a tournament player, so.
Yeah, everything as far as the add-ons go, they're supposed to go to the prize pool. I mean, it took me a while to look that up, actually, because I was trying to figure out exactly how it figured in. But like I say, there's good and bad to both. But I will say I did like that 101 freeze out tournament on Wednesday. I mean, it's pretty nice. Like that place has a good environment in general, and that was a pretty damn good little tournament. I mean, you're pretty deep stacked, but not so deep stacked that it's going to be like 1 or 2 in the morning. Seems like they got a really good handle on that.
Man, I kind of want to play a tournament that's going to go till 1 or 2 in the morning myself. I personally, right now, kind of want to play one that's going to be like a longer affair. I guess I could just not bust out and it'd be a longer affair.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, if you win everything, it's going to be longer. Yeah, it's I don't know. I kind of like. I wouldn't mind it, but I think it's more marketable if they end at like midnight. I mean, because you and me are the exception to the rule. Everybody else has got to get up and go to work.
Yeah, so you're saying you can't be up until 1 in the morning to bubble and then the tournament run until 2 or 3?
Exactly. So it's but yeah, well, it was really, and then I mean, you want to talk about me and you constantly go back and forth on, like, we know cash is very profitable. If tournaments can be profitable, the tournament players are really bad. I mean, really bad. So I'm going to go over a hand with you real quick that kind of shows.
All right, let me write this down. I imagine it's going to be some high-level play. Let me get my pen.
It's going to be high-level play. So, yeah, I raise it to 6,000 with pocket jacks.
Do you remember the blinds?
I'm thinking for me the blinds must have been like
1,000, 2,000 probably with the 2,000 bring in maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I may have made it 8. We're just gonna say 6,000. No, it was 8. I make it 8. It's 1-2 because I would have raised probably 4 times because that's kind of what I do. 8,000 pocket jacks. The guy calls, comes like 4, 5, 7 or something. I'm like, I'm not too worried about this. I'm not gonna assume he flopped 2 pairs straight here. I see bet for value for 8,000. He calls. The turn makes it is like a nothing card, still under a jack. I bet for value again. We still got an overpair. I mean, he could just have hit top pair or something like that. I bet again, and now it's like 13, 14,000 in there. He calls. The river. Oh, go.
Do you remember how much you bet? Was it like a full pot, half pot?
It was probably like a little over half pot.
Okay.
The river's an ace. I don't love this card, so I just check it. He bets 8,000. The pot is like 37,000. So this is I snap call this. And then he shows king high. And he's like, how did you call that? There's an ace out there. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man. It was 8,000 into a pot of 35,000, and I mean, if you hit an ace there, if you just chase me down with an ace, then it is what it is. You're getting paid off. I mean, but the fact that someone did not kind of understand like just the pot sizing and how that works, and called me down with king high with literally no draws. I mean, and I tell you what, that was not the exception to the rule. That was more the rule.
Hey, sounds like a good tournament.
Yeah, people letting themselves, like, I noticed the big thing in tournaments, people just, they're scared to go all in with nothing because I think they're embarrassed. I think it's kind of like a lot of people I think don't bluff in no limit, like small stakes no limit, because they're embarrassed to get called and show nothing. Because people are just letting themselves get blinded out to no end. So it's, I don't know, all the mistakes you see in tournaments, you definitely saw there. So, I mean, which is kind of norm for small stakes tournaments around here. But, like I say, I thought it was run really well. It was a really good tournament.
Nice. Yeah, I guess, what hand brought you out, or?
I did not cash after saying how easy it was.
That's what I was about to say. How much did you make? You must have made a bunch.
Yeah.
Say, where's the money?
I did go card dead. I get blinded down. And I fought a little bit, taking the blinds here and there. Then finally, it's about, I think I'm at like 8 big blinds, 9 big blinds. I'm like on the hijack, and I push with 5-6 suited, kind of a standard push. Get called by ace queen, and I flop a gutter and turn a flush draw, but brick the river.
Dang. Well, all right. Well, what was the next session that I played 2 sessions. I know you played.
Let's go over the Paramount session we did last night.
Okay,
that's
sounds
fresh
good.
on our minds. Well, I think the best one is actually to kind of tell everybody how good Paramount is to play at. Is to go over that hand that neither of us were in, where it's Omaha. So I'm just going to go over the very last deal. It's bet all the way down. On the river is a nut straight of king queen. It's a bet. The guy re-raises for a huge amount, and then it's a snap call. I'm like, okay, well, this is probably a chop. Let's get this over with and get done. It was a shitty 2-pair versus a shittier 2-pair. And the slightly shitty 2-pair is actually the one that wins. So this is the kind of table we start off on. And I was like, oh, God, this could be really, really good or really bad. It'd be a very high variance session for us.
No, absolutely. And it was round of each on, when was that? That was Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it's Tuesday. So it was a round of each. 1 round of Omaha, 1 round of No Limit.
Yeah. And when we started, I guess I bought in for 300, which was relatively deep stack for the table.
Yeah, it is 1-2, not 1-3. So that is fairly deep.
And the whole beginning of my session was just get a bad hand and fold, get a bad hand and fold, get a mediocre hand like ace deuce suited, call flop, brick completely, fold. I mean, no bluffs, nothing. And then I get ace queen. I'm like, okay, here we go. Can finally have a playable hand. I think I made it 17 because the straddle was on. And I immediately get 3-bet do you remember how much it was?
It was a sizable 3-bet. I remember that. I think, so 1-2, you would have made it like, you said 15?
17. I made it 17.
I think he made it like 56, around 50 to 60.
Something like that, yeah. It folds around, comes back to me. I have ace queen offsuit. I was like, well, I feel like you always say that everyone's 3-betting ranges in these games are so polarized. And I hate having ace queen in a 3-bet pot always. So I just fold. I didn't show, I just folded. And then he shows ace king.
Yeah, I thought this was just a really good fold here. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of games where ace queen needs to be a call, but
not in the 1-2 game. I mean, not in the 1-2 game where you're playing with people who don't 3-bet.
Yeah, in these 1-2, 1-3 games. I mean, if nobody's ever 3-betting light with like ace jack or ace 10 or ace 5 like they do in real good aggressive games, then when you're calling with ace queen, I mean, what are we hoping for?
Queen, queen, queen.
Yeah. So I thought this was a really good fold. I think are tables where ace queen is probably a call or even a 4-bet bluff at times. But on these tables, when the 3-betting is just, there's no 3-bet bluffing and it's always the nutted hand, I thought it was a good heads-up fold.
So I was happy that I folded when he showed ace king because the results are all that matter. And what's it called? But then I was still getting pretty short stacked, right? I mean, I'm playing these hands. I flopped in PLO. I mean, I know when I said the nut straight. I flopped the highest straight on a monotone board. So club, club, club.
Right.
And I just folded on the flop. And I mean, I was like, well, thank goodness I did because, I think one guy flopped a flush. I think I had a boat. But making good folds, I know, is part of being profitable. But when you haven't had a win in so long, you're kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, you can only make good folds for so long, right?
Oh, I mean, sometimes you do have to... At some point, you have to win. I mean, in the long run, you're folding hands that you're getting value from on other people. But, yeah, at some point, you have to win a hand.
I mean, you can't be like, I made all these great folds and just lost the minimum until I had nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just played for a long time, and now I have nothing.
Seems fair, yeah. That's very true.
So, but then the table, we joined the main game. Or I guess the main game.
Before we go there, let's go over that one bomb pot hand. Because I'm not sure if I played this badly. So
I thought you played it at the main game, but okay, go ahead.
no, well, you're talking about another bomb pot. I know which one you're talking about. The
So you played a lot of bomb pots,
Yeah.
questionably.
there's a lot of questionable in my play anymore.
So it's funny whenever you're like, I don't know if I play this badly, and I get the hand mixed up.
Yeah, very true. It's a double board Omaha bomb pot. I have. Well, I'm going to tell you what the cards that matter. I have King 6, and the flop comes Ace 6 on one board. It comes Queen Queen. I think 4, and I think it was a diamond draw.
I think it was a 4, yeah.
On there. So we end up. I go ahead and pot it. I'm in pretty early position, so I pot it, which I think is pretty normal here.
Yeah, that seems good.
There's 2 calls. The turn is a 4, so I think about it here, and I'm like, well, seems like ace. I mean, I've got all the trip 6s beat. If somebody had ace 6, I mean, it seems like they might have raised when I potted it. And I mean, 6-4 got there, but I mean, that's super random. And I end up potting this again. And one guy folds, and another guy goes all in for like $20 more. I snap call. And he actually turned a boat on the top. So we end up chopping it. But the big question is potting it on the turn. I'm usually for playing pots really aggressively because I don't want to chop a pot when I only have equity on one board. But on this exact board layout, a queen is never folding. So I don't know what I'm really trying to push people off of here.
I thought when I was watching from the outside that you were going to have I thought you were going to have a much stronger hand potting it into 2 other players after they called the original pot.
Yeah, I was counting on them maybe re-raising a lot of hands that had me beat. But, I mean, I guess there is like sometimes someone will have a 6, and I did have the best kicker that wasn't a boat. So I did have that, and I guess I could get value there. But, I mean, I'm never, like, on that top board, if somebody's got a queen, they're never folding. So it seems like I'm kind of putting myself at a lot of risk
Yeah.
for very little reward here. So I probably could check that turn, and that might actually be a better way to play this.
I mean, I was happy that you chopped it at least. So, but I thought I agreed with that though. That checking the turn I thought was the move, but you know.
Yeah, like as I was doing, I think even as I was midway through the hand, I was like, "This is kind of dicey."
You look like you had the thought of this is getting dicey.
Yeah. So it's but it did make the hand easy to play once I goes all in for the top I mean, if I check it checks around and he bets. I do kind of a tough decision there because then I'm now calling for just a chop. So I guess I'm going to be super results oriented and say I'm glad I bet it that way. But yeah, it was kind of I think looking back, I should be able to check a turn like that. But yeah, that was only big hand from that session.
What do you mean?
No, I mean that before we got moved to the main game.
Yeah, we said that session. I was about to say, wait.
No, there were some other big hands completely.
So then we moved to the main game, and I remained card dead. And I was like, I think I was down to exactly $125. I was like, well, I mean, this ain't it. You know, like, yeah. I mean, kind of comes a point where we always talk about that fine line between rebuying, adding on, or trying to play the short stack. But in a time game, you're doing nothing but limiting your hourly. I mean,
yeah, well, I mean, this is kind of like the Texas version of moving up in stakes, because we always talk about like going up in stakes, but really playing as deep as we can is really the move. I mean, because like you say, when it's a time game, I mean, $10 is really chipping away if we're sitting there with $120.
Right. So the bomb pot was coming up, and I was like, oh, this would be a great time to go add on. Maybe I'll miss the bomb pot, or I'll get the chips. I won't put them on the table until I after the bomb pot. Is what I told the guy on the floor, and he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." I was like, "Why not?" He's like, "I don't know. Shouldn't do that." And I was like, "Oh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I won't. I don't know. I got him in green so I could put him in my pocket or keep him out of play until after the bomb pot. Like, that's how committed I was. I got him in green so I could,
Right. Yeah. Solid point.
because bomb pot seemed like a great way to lose all your money. So I was like, well, I don't want to, But he said that, and I was like, well, I mean, maybe I'll win. I don't know. So
That seems super unconvincing.
yeah, I was like, I mean, maybe. So I actually end up putting the chips on the table, and I was like, oh God, here we go. I get a great PLO hand. I get ace king of spades with the 10 of hearts and the 9 of hearts, I believe.
Oh God, what a great hand.
Right? So I was like, all right, here we go. I flop the nuts on one board of spades, and it's also 9-10 of spades. So I have the nuts plus 2 pair plus top pair on the other board of the 9 with the ace kicker, which I don't think matters that much. But so, I mean, I'm like, well, I mean, this is what you're waiting for, right? I mean,
yeah.
And then some guy, I check it. The aggressive player to my left bets 45. It gets,
Ooh, you checked it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice move. I didn't notice that.
yeah.
I honestly thought you were in late position. I didn't realize that that this was okay.
No, I checked it for sure, hoping to get to pot this. So I check it. The guy bets 45, and I'm like, please, someone call. Someone calls. And I was hoping to get a third caller.
Oh, I mean, I flopped open-ended on the one you had top pair on. I thought about it for a split second, and I was like, well, I can't just draw with the one board.
Then I pot it for 225.
God, this is such a great move.
One guy calls. Did we go all in, or did they just call? I think he shoved, right? Yeah, the guy to my left shoved. He shoves. The guy to my right calls for less, right?
Yeah, he called for way less.
And then I call my all in. So now I'm just added on. Now I'm in for all my money I have on me. The flush on one board holds, and then I end up turning a 10 on the other board to get top 2 with 9-10.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good, and I scoop. They both had a flush, correct?
I know one did. I thought the guy to my right, I don't think he had a flush. I think he just had, I know he was open-ended. I think he had like a kind of shitty wrap straight draw on the top.
I thought he had an 8 high flush is what I thought I saw. But
Oh, maybe so. Okay, I noticed the 4-7 for the open-ended on there. But, if that's true and he has the flush, I can kind of start to understand, especially for what he had left. I can understand his call there. Mm. The other guy, I mean, because that was for a crap load of money.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he had nothing but that flush.
Queen high flush.
I mean, you had both the nut flush and the second nut flush because you had ace king of spade. And it's been a re-raise, a check raise on this board, which is just, on a bomb pot is just literally the nuts on a board every time. That is a super skeptical play there. Because now he's calling, he has nothing on the other board. In his best case scenario, he takes 50% of the pot. And in the worst case scenario, he literally takes nothing. So, the play at Paramount is just so amazing.
Well, I mean, this was one particular player who I think, I guess, I don't know,
man. I saw play after play last night.
I mean, possibly. It's speculative. But, I mean, like they say, the game is good, right? So, but yeah, that was my big hand. Then right after that, I get dealt pocket kings. I'm like, well, this is perfect. 2 black kings, right? I raised pretty big. I think I made it there was a straddle and a few calls. So did I make it 20? I think I made it 20.
I think that's right.
I got 4 callers. I was like, this is not the move. I was like, I mean, this is not great for me. The flop comes ace high, 2 clubs, and a spade. I was like, well, I do have, obviously I have the club and the spades, but I was like, well, I have the king of clubs, and it's the ace of clubs out there.
Yeah.
The turn pairs the board.
Was the 8 that paired the board.
Right, but also brought in 3 clubs.
Yeah.
Sorry, one guy bet $20, donked into me $20 on the flop. Everyone called.
Yeah.
Then we check the 8, and I was like, well, maybe I can spike a king sometimes. Maybe I can hit a club to have the nut flush, but it's not the nut flush because the board is paired.
Right.
Crazy guy who had called my bomb pot hand the last hand bets 250 over betting the pot.
Yeah, that was... Because I thought the same thing. I was like, I mean, if it's a small bet, I think you can justify, like, a light call here. If it was, like, $20... Like, if someone did, like, same bet or something like that. But, yeah, once he bets that, this is snap fold, right?
Yeah, just snap folded around. We never got to see the run out. We never got to see his hand.
Very weird way to play that. I mean, it's very weird because if he's doing a gigantic size as a bluff in a very wet board,
Multi-way.
or, I mean, you're literally just getting no value from all of your big hands. I mean, because I'm not saying, like, $20 have been too light and you could definitely justify a call there. But, I mean, this is probably $100. I mean, it was probably like $150, $70 in the pot at this point.
160.
Definitely seems like you could have done like 75 or 80 and trying to get some value there.
I mean, at least tempt me, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very weird kind of bet that way. I mean, I guess he could just have a flush or... Maybe he had, I don't know. I mean, maybe he had a small flush. He didn't want to see another club come out, which, true, but it seems like you want to get some value from your strong hands.
You would think. I mean, he might have just been bluffing, but...
I mean, yeah.
I mean, horrible time to bluff. Yeah. Gigantic blunder because you're just going to get snapped by the nuts a lot. But, either way. So, and then this was something I wanted to talk to you about on the pod. I mean, after that was basically my last interesting hand. I ended up profiting about $500. But here was something I want to talk to you about. After that hand, maybe 2 or 3 hands later, you remember whenever that guy made it $50 with kings and got called and the flop came ace, jack, whatever?
Right.
So this action play we've been describing, right, is making these speculative plays, aggressive, chips definitely not on lockdown, right?
Right.
Calls $50 with ace, jack, flops 2 pair, and the guy folds kings, right?
Mm-hmm.
What a blunder from that guy with kings to sit there and harass the guy who called with ace, jack.
Oh, I mean, that guy, yeah, was very...
I mean, you should never be the guy who's literally just giving his money away.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he's going to hit top 2 pair. That's just is what it is. Right? I mean, he won a gigantic pot there, and the guy was yelling something about speculative pre-flop hands and stuff. I mean...
Yeah, I mean...
In that situation, you should say nothing.
Yeah, I'd say nice hand and call it. I mean...
You don't even have to say that. Just say nothing if you can't... I mean,
well,
definitely...
I gotta say, I mean, if you're gonna say something, you just say, like, nice hand and call it good. It's... I don't know, like... Here's the thing is, I don't understand people, like... You're allowed... It doesn't matter if it's $50 and he calls it with deuce 7. If it is your money on the table, you can play it however the hell you want. And really, in all honesty, we want players playing like that.
Well, no, here was that was kind of my thing is, if someone's playing like that, you need them in the game. And then he racked up right after, which I know was horrible taste, but it was after those comments were made to him.
Yeah, I mean...
Which might have had something to do with it, might not have. I mean...
Well, I mean, I got the feeling that the guy, because I know what you're talking about, the guy to my right was kind of new to the game and did not know the etiquette of... Well, I mean, I don't know. He acted like he knew the etiquette of the game, but it was... Yeah, that was not the only comment he made where I was, like, kind of rolling my eyes a little bit.
Right, no, exactly. But I'm just in general, good rule of thumb, if you're looking to make money playing poker, do not harass the guy who's giving the money away.
I mean, a solid point.
I mean...
That's something all the strategy books should just start the damn book with right there. If there's a whale at the table who's just throwing money around, then do whatever you can to keep them. Don't sit there and harass the shit out of them.
I mean, I've had this happen at one of the high stakes, quote unquote high stakes, 5-10 game or whatever, right?
Pretty high.
I mean, high enough. But there's a player there who was there at the game who wanted to play. I played with this guy before, right?
Mm-hmm.
He lost 5,000, 6,000 in a 1-3 game.
God dang.
This guy just wants to play and have fun. He's not even going to talk, right?
Right.
He's just going to gamble it up. He just wants action. You just have to kind of give him action and just show him that you're going to bluff him too and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to call you with ace high for $3,000 on the river. He was right. And it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. But this is the kind of guy you're dealing with, right?
Right.
We know this, right? Everyone's played with this guy before. He's the guy you need in the game. He's gonna make the game possible, right? This is where we're all gonna win now.
Yeah, especially in a high stakes game like that, where you start to lose more and more bad players, and you definitely need a guy like that.
So then we had a player, right? Him and this guy get in a pot, right?
Okay.
And the guy bluffs him because he bluffs every hand. I mean, he bluffs all the time, right? For a bunch of money. He calls him, and then he makes him show his hand, won't turn his hand over until he shows him, right?
Oh, God.
Then the guy gets mad, gets up and leaves 2 minutes into playing. And I actually turned to the guy and said, what are you doing, man? Like, why would you ever do that?
Yeah.
Well, I want to see his hand. I said, that's the guy that's going to make this game. I told him, that's the guy to make this game possible. Now you pissed him off. He's gone home, or he's not going to play with us anymore. And he's been waiting for an hour and a half to get on this table, and it's just such a blunder. I mean, I told him, I said, just turn your hand over, man. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean.
And he's like, I didn't know. I was like, dude, don't do that. Like, what are you doing?
Here's the thing is, okay, even if it isn't a guy like that, it's kind of poker etiquette if the guy's like, basically, you're good or whatever, to not, because that's exactly what we saw on Hustler Casino Live.
He didn't even say you're good. He doesn't talk very much. English is not his first language. He just kind of shrugged like, kind of like I'm nothing. And he had stone cold nothing, like 6-4 offsuit, no draws,
Yeah.
But just turn your hand over and show bottom pair and you'll be good.
Yeah.
But don't do that.
Yeah, that's really I don't know. You really got to take care of there's only going to be so many players, especially as you go higher and higher, that are going to be super profitable for the game. Because if it's just a bunch of nits, all you're doing is just sitting there looking at each other paying the fucking rate.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You got to be kind of nitty to win. So you need people that are not like you. So don't berate everybody to being like you.
Well, and I had played with that guy before, and you want to talk about a swingy session, because I was the one giving him action. Gosh. And I ended up losing that night. I lost like $100, but the amount of money we were playing for, $100 was almost a break-even night kind of thing.
Yeah, it's those players are going to make it profitable in the long run, but I'm sure super high variance in the short run.
I was stuck 3, up 3. It was it was ridiculous, right? But again, that's the player you need in these games, right? So that was just something, when I saw him brain that guy, I was just like, oh man. We're never getting that money's leaving now, right? And then that's just it. So that was kind of annoying.
Yeah, that was pretty I can definitely see that. That's a really good point to make too. To drive home on that one. It's don't berate the hell out of these and like you said, even like what you did with that one guy, take up for some of the players who, are just donking money away.
Yeah. So that was an interesting session. I profited, you profited, which is always nice, as you say.
Yeah, I had one decent big hand where it was, again, a bomb pot. I flopped a set on one board and open-ended on the other.
Oh, we didn't even talk about your one PLO hand at the game before we moved, where you had the nut boat and you had the second nut boat on the turn.
Oh yeah. Well, that's kind of. Well, I'll go on this PLO bomb pot, and then I'll run back that real quick. So I flop a middle set and then open-ended. It goes all in, and when you get it all in, the guy turns a straight on the one I have a set on. I turn the straight on the top board, and this ends up being the nuts, and then the board pairs for me to take a pretty big pot that kind of made that session right there.
Yeah, 100%.
Me and another guy were going back and forth on on regular PLO hands.
Well, so far it's only gone his way. There's no back and forth.
Yeah, the first one, I get it all in. He calls, and I have top boat. And I'm like, the only thing I'm losing to is quads.
And then he's like, that sucks.
Yeah, he's like, that sucks. And the river makes some quads.
Yeah, that was the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah.
Because I only lose the quads. He's like, that sucks. Bang. He's like, no, I have quads. I was like, Jesus. I was like, it's like you called your own shot.
Yeah. Then me and the same guy get into another hand where I flop trips, but I have a shitty kicker. It's 7-7 deuce, and I don't have a deuce as a kicker. So I flop a 7, but I'm like, oh god, there's not much value to be had because everything calling me here is a 7, and everything's a better kicker. Well, the turn is a 4, and making me a boat. I'm like, well, now I'm beating all of these hands I was scared of. We get it all in, and he actually flopped deuces full of 7s, and I out-turned him. So, like I say, it ended up being a good session. I profited, I think, like around $300-something. I mean, not bad.
Yeah. You played another tournament too?
Let me see. I did do a Paramount freeze out. Whatever day theirs is. I must have been their Thursday tournament, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Some pretty interesting. Here's a question: if you make a really big fold, do you think it's good to like show it? I mean, these cheap tournaments, it really doesn't matter that much, but because I've folded trips and the entire table is like, holy shit, why are you doing that? But the way it played out, this person should always have a flush.
I mean, put it this way, I didn't show the ace-queen fold for a reason, so.
That's a good call. Yeah, I probably don't need to be doing that. This tournament, I actually stack up quite a bit. But as tournaments do, the blinds get higher and higher. I shove all in with pocket deuces. The guy tanks for a good 3 minutes, and then finally calls with ace-king. and yeah. And then I'm good all the way to the river, in which he spikes an ace, so you could get rewarded for tanking with ace-king.
I played an interesting session. I'll go over it kind of quick because there's only one hand of note. I played at 101 Katie Cash. I started off, things weren't going my way. Things continued not to go my way. Things went from bad to worse.
God damn.
Yeah, that's what I said. And then I got ace queen with ace and the queen of diamonds, right?
Okay.
The flop it's 3 ways. I raised pretty big pre-flop. It's 3 ways. The flop comes ace 10 4 with 2 diamonds. One being the ace, right?
Okay.
I bet 50. Some guy raises to 100. The other guy calls 100. I only have like maybe 90 more total. Like after once I behind.
Okay, ace 10 and it was how
with
many
2 diamonds.
With 2 it had 2 diamonds on the flop?
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
So I was like, well, I can't put the 50 out to then fold the. I mean,
so you've got top pair with the nut flush draw.
Queen high flush draw. The ace of diamonds is out there. I have offsuit ace queen.
Oh, you have offsuit ace queen. Okay, I got you.
So I was like, well, I'm gonna just rip it here. I mean, there's no point. I'm never folding. I'm never calling and folding. So I could, in theory. Well, I don't know. I would put in such a weird spot there.
This is a very weird spot.
Because I wasn't, if he would have made it a big bet, but I had already kind of committed myself with the 50. You see what I'm saying? So if I was deeper, I could have folded, I think.
Yeah, I mean, very hard when someone I mean, I don't, I don't think I'm ever folding a big hand to a min raise. So I think if it's deeper, you're not going all in. You're just calling, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
But so I go all in. It goes call. He calls for less, so he had even less than me behind, which makes his bet even weirder. The other guy calls. The other guy has ace 8 deuce of diamonds. The other guy has ace 10 for top 2. The turn is the king of diamonds. The river is the 3 of diamonds, giving me the nut flush.
Oh, wow, nice.
So I got super lucky in that one. And then
wait, so what? Oh, one guy has ace. He flopped 2 pair, ace 10.
Top 2, yep.
And what the other guy have?
8 deuce of diamonds.
8 deuce of diamonds. Okay, I gotcha.
So he turns his flush to me river, a bigger flush.
That's a pretty nice hand.
I mean, it was lucky as shit, right? I mean,
it was lucky as shit, but I mean,
given the odds and the price, it was kind of play. I mean, I was gonna realize my equity enough, right, with my little money behind.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think, but I mean, I think the way you played it, I think is how you probably should be playing it. I mean, this is a horrible spot in that when someone min raises you here, there's a call. I think you're almost never good, but now you're getting just ridiculous odds. I mean, it's a disaster. And like some of these loose tables where people really overplay their hands, I think it's one that when you make this call or go all in, you don't expect that you're good very often, but you're probably good often, just often enough to make it profitable in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, when I did it, I was kind of like, wow, good day, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm not folding now, so I'm just going to hit the road. But it worked out great until what happened? I played some other big hands that did not work out in my favor at all. And then I'm down to like $126, which is not great. I get dealt pocket kings. The dealer throws the last card to the button. The small blind picks it up and looks at it. It has 3 cards, and it's a misdeal.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, wow, horrible. I'm just leaving. I mean, that's just it for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen, but God, that's real frustrating on some of these sessions where you're just trying to get anything going.
Especially after being carded the whole time you've been there. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know, groaning to groan, I guess, right? I mean, it's going to happen to everyone the exact amount, the same, so.
Exactly.
And like, that's the same as if, you could have lost a big one, won a big one. Same thing with the bomb pot. It's just nice to be on that right side of variance in that bomb pot. And who knows if I was on the right side of variance on those pocket kings hand. I might have saved $125. You see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah,
I mean, you
absolutely.
really don't know. So, I mean...
Yeah, I mean...
You can gripe about it now, but the one thing I do know is I was on too much tilt to continue playing.
I mean, I think that's a pretty... If anything, that's the thing to take away, right? Is realizing when you're on tilt. Because I will say this, like, I used to know, like, if you had, like, $70 on in front of you, that shit was getting burned to the fucking ground.
Still the case.
Yeah, I don't know. Something like every now and then I see you walk away and, like, just take that money versus, like...
Yes.
So, yeah, I think you've gotten a little bit better about if you're on tilt, at least walking away. Maybe you're still not great, but you've gotten better over the years. I will say that.
Yeah, we'll end it with this. When I'm walking away, you're looking at a dude walking away to go take a dump. I mean, I'm not walking away. I'm walking away because I got to go home.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well.
Because it's still the same.
We're going to hope when you're down to like $100 or $80 and you're on tilt, we're just going to hope that you have gastric problems is our hope for you.
Yeah, so on that note, this concludes the Textbook Podcast. We'll talk to you next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.